Today's lecture will cover due process and equal protection in constitutional law crash course for law school. Let's dive into it. In this chapter of Constitutional Law Crash Course, we will delve into due process and equal protection. We'll explore the historical roots, pivotal Supreme Court cases, and modern-day controversies surrounding these fundamental principles. Let's dive in and uncover the complexities of these crucial concepts. In this chapter, we will dive into the core principles of due process and equal protection in the U.S. Constitution. We'll examine their development through amendments, legal standards, and significant court cases. In this chapter, we will delve into the key amendments, legal standards, and landmark cases that shape the concepts of due process and equal protection under the U.S. Constitution. We will explore how these principles are enshrined in the Fifth and 14th Amendments, guaranteeing due process of law and equal protection under the law. By analyzing how the judiciary has interpreted and applied these constitutional provisions in various contexts, we will gain a deeper understanding of their implications on individual rights and liberties. Through real-world scenarios, we will be better equipped to navigate the complexities of constitutional law and appreciate the significance of due process and equal protection in safeguarding our rights. All right, let's talk about the Due Process Clause. This important clause, found in the Fifth and 14th Amendments, ensures that individuals are not unfairly deprived of their life, liberty, or property without the proper legal procedures in place. It acts as a safeguard against arbitrary government actions and protects our fundamental rights. The Due Process Clause found in both the Fifth and 14th Amendments is a critical safeguard in the United States Constitution. It ensures that individuals cannot be stripped of their life, liberty, or property without the proper legal procedures being followed. This means that before the government can infringe on someone's fundamental rights or possessions, they must provide a fair and unbiased process. For instance, in criminal cases, this clause guarantees the right to a fair trial, legal representation, and the chance to present evidence in defense. In civil cases, it ensures individuals have the right to be heard and challenge any actions that could lead to the loss of their property or rights. Overall, the Due Process Clause is essential in protecting individual rights and ensuring the government acts justly and lawfully. In criminal proceedings, due process and equal protection ensure that individuals accused of crimes have the right to a fair trial and legal representation. This means that individuals have the right to have an attorney present to defend them in court, giving them a fair chance to present their case and defend themselves against any charges. Additionally, these principles protect against arbitrary government actions, ensuring that individuals are treated fairly and equally under the law. For example, the right to a public trial allows for transparency and accountability in court proceedings, while the right to counsel guarantees access to legal representation, even for those who cannot afford an attorney. These rights are crucial in criminal proceedings to ensure that individuals can effectively defend themselves and receive a fair trial. In this slide, we delve deeper into the concept of protection from government overreach by highlighting how it safeguards property rights and civil liberties. This protection ensures that individuals can own property without the fear of unjust confiscation by the government, while also safeguarding civil liberties like freedom of speech, religion, and privacy. For instance, the Fourth Amendment protects against unreasonable searches and seizures, respecting individuals' property and privacy. Moreover, this concept ensures procedural fairness in administrative actions, guaranteeing individuals due process before any government action is taken against them. This includes the right to a fair hearing, present evidence, and be informed of charges. An example of this protection is seen in the prohibition against unlawful seizure of property, as outlined in the Fifth Amendment's Takings Clause. This clause prevents the government from taking private property for public use without just compensation, safeguarding individuals from being deprived of their property rights without proper legal procedures and compensation. All right, class. Today we're diving into the Equal Protection Clause. This clause, found in the 14th Amendment, ensures that everyone is treated fairly and equally under the law, prohibiting discrimination based on factors like race, gender, or religion. It's a crucial part of our constitutional framework that guarantees justice and equality for all. The Equal Protection Clause, part of the 14th Amendment, mandates that all individuals are treated equally under the law. This means that regardless of race, gender, or other characteristics, everyone should receive the same treatment from the government and its laws. For instance, this clause has been used to challenge discriminatory practices like segregation in schools or unequal treatment in the criminal justice system. By upholding the Equal Protection Clause, the government is responsible for ensuring that all individuals have the same rights and opportunities, ultimately fostering a more just society. In the landmark case of Brown v. Board of Education, the Supreme Court struck down racial segregation in schools, marking a major step towards desegregation and equality in education. Obergefell v. Hodges is another significant case where the Supreme Court legalized same-sex marriage nationwide, a major victory for the LGBTQ+ community and expanding individuals' rights to marry whomever they choose. Loving v. Virginia invalidated laws prohibiting interracial marriage, a crucial moment in the fight against discrimination based on race, and allowing couples of different races to legally marry. These cases showcase the judiciary's power in shaping and protecting individuals' rights under due process and equal protection principles, highlighting how the legal system can promote equality and justice for all. The prohibition of discrimination is a crucial principle that ensures individuals are not treated unfairly based on factors like race, gender, religion, or other protected characteristics. This principle guarantees equal treatment in various areas such as education and employment. For instance, it means that everyone should have the same opportunities for education and should not experience discrimination in the workplace due to their gender or race. A practical example of this principle is seen in gender equality in the workplace, where men and women should receive equal pay for equal work, have equal chances for career advancement, and be free from gender-based discrimination or harassment. By upholding this principle, a more inclusive and just work environment is created for all employees. Today, we will be discussing the standards of review in constitutional law. These standards, including strict scrutiny, intermediate scrutiny, and rational basis review, are crucial in determining the constitutionality of laws based on the level of justification required by the government. Let's dive into how these standards shape the legal landscape. Courts utilize different standards to assess the constitutionality of laws, namely strict scrutiny, intermediate scrutiny, and rational basis review. Strict scrutiny is the most rigorous standard, applied to laws infringing on fundamental rights or involving suspect classifications, like race. It requires the law to be narrowly tailored to serve a compelling government interest. For instance, laws discriminating based on race undergo strict scrutiny, necessitating a compelling justification for such discrimination. Intermediate scrutiny is employed for laws impacting semi-suspect classifications, such as gender, demanding the law to be substantially related to an important government interest. An example is laws treating men and women differently, where the government must justify the disparate treatment. Rational basis review is the least stringent standard, assessing most laws and government actions. Here, the law must be rationally linked to a legitimate government interest. Economic regulations are typically subject to rational basis review, where a rational justification suffices. Understanding these standards is vital for evaluating the constitutionality of laws and government actions concerning due process and equal protection. The strict scrutiny standard is the most stringent level of review applied by courts when analyzing the constitutionality of a law. Under strict scrutiny, the government must prove that there is a compelling state interest behind the law in question. Laws that are subject to strict scrutiny are often struck down because it is challenging for the government to meet this high burden of proof. An example of laws that are typically subject to strict scrutiny are those involving racial discrimination. This is because racial classifications are inherently suspect and require a compelling justification to pass constitutional muster. The concept of strict scrutiny involves a rigorous examination of laws to ensure that they meet a high standard of justification, particularly in cases involving fundamental rights or suspect classifications like race. Intermediate scrutiny requires the government to demonstrate a significant interest behind a challenged law and that the law is closely related to that interest. This standard is higher than rational basis review, as it demands a clear and direct connection between the law and the government's goal, guaranteeing legal representation for all individuals facing criminal charges. Another key case, Miranda v. Arizona, established the Miranda rights, which include the right to counsel during police interrogations. This right allows individuals to be informed of their legal rights and have the opportunity to consult with an attorney before speaking to law enforcement. Overall, the right to counsel is essential for safeguarding the rights of individuals in the criminal justice system, ensuring a fair trial, and upholding the principles of justice and fairness. The rational basis review is the least stringent standard used in equal protection analysis. Under this standard, the government only needs to demonstrate a legitimate interest for a law to be upheld. Laws are typically considered valid if they are rationally connected to that legitimate interest. For instance, economic regulations such as business licensing often fall under the rational basis review standard. This standard becomes crucial in cases where the government's interest is not rooted in suspect classifications like race or gender, but rather in broader societal concerns. It serves as a framework for evaluating laws that are not based on discriminatory factors, but on the overall well-being of society. Today, we're diving into the heart of individual liberties with fundamental rights. These rights, like freedom of speech and equal protection, are crucial in protecting us from government overreach and ensuring fairness in the eyes of the law. Let's explore how these rights shape our legal landscape. Fundamental rights are crucial for protecting individual liberties. They include the right to freedom of speech, privacy, due process, and equal protection. Freedom of speech allows individuals to express their opinions without censorship, while privacy safeguards personal lives from intrusion. Due process ensures fair treatment in the legal system, including a fair trial and protection against government abuse. Equal protection prohibits discrimination based on race, gender, or religion, promoting a more just and inclusive society. These rights are essential for upholding democracy and ensuring that all individuals are treated equally under the law. In this slide, we delve deeper into examples of fundamental rights that are crucial in our constitutional framework. First up, we have the freedom of speech, a cornerstone protected under the First Amendment. This right allows individuals to freely express their opinions, beliefs, and ideas without government interference, fostering a vibrant democracy. Next, the right to privacy encompasses various personal freedoms, including keeping personal information confidential and making autonomous decisions about one's body. It also extends to personal communications and reproductive choices. Courts have played a crucial role in expanding fundamental rights through their decisions. One key example of this expansion is the establishment of the right to marriage equality, as seen in cases like Obergefell v. Hodges in 2015. Additionally, courts have expanded rights in areas such as protection from unwarranted searches, as demonstrated in cases like Mapp v. Ohio, which introduced the exclusionary rule. A landmark case showcasing the expansion of rights through court decisions is Roe v. Wade, where the Supreme Court recognized the right to privacy in reproductive choices, significantly impacting reproductive rights in the United States. These examples underscore the profound influence that court decisions can have in shaping and broadening fundamental rights for individuals. All right, class. Today, we're diving into the concept of suspect classifications. These are categories like race, national origin, religion, and alienage that receive heightened scrutiny in legal analysis. When laws target individuals based on these characteristics, the courts closely examine them to ensure they're necessary and not discriminatory. Let's explore how these classifications play a crucial role in upholding equal protection under the law. Suspect classifications like race, national origin, religion, and alienage require a higher level of scrutiny in legal analysis. This means that laws or government actions that discriminate based on these categories will face more rigorous review by the courts. For instance, if a state passes a law targeting individuals of a specific race, it would undergo strict scrutiny, where the government must prove a compelling state interest and narrow tailoring. Similarly, striking a balance between national unity and state autonomy. This division allows the federal government to handle issues like national defense and foreign policy, while states have authority over matters such as education and transportation. By understanding these principles, we gain insight into how the U.S. government functions and how they shape our system of governance. These principles are essential in maintaining a government that is accountable, transparent, and responsive to the needs of the people. In this slide, we delve into the concept of a higher level of scrutiny when it comes to laws targeting classifications such as race, religion, or national origin. These laws undergo a rigorous examination by the courts to ensure they serve a compelling government interest and are narrowly tailored to achieve that interest. For instance, laws that impact religious practices would be closely scrutinized under this standard. When courts analyze laws under this higher level of scrutiny, they carefully assess whether the government has a compelling reason for the law and if there are less restrictive alternatives available to achieve the same objective. This heightened level of scrutiny aims to safeguard individuals from discrimination based on specific characteristics and to guarantee the preservation of their constitutional rights. In this slide, we delve into examples of suspect classifications under the Equal Protection Clause. Laws discriminating based on race are closely scrutinized by the courts and must meet strict scrutiny standards. An iconic case illustrating this is Loving v. Virginia, where laws banning interracial marriage were struck down. Similarly, laws impacting religious practices require a compelling government interest, as seen in Employment Division v. Smith. National origin-based discrimination is also subject to strict scrutiny, as demonstrated by the Immigration and Nationality Act. These examples highlight how the courts rigorously assess laws related to race, religion, and national origin to uphold the principles of equal protection under the law. In this chapter, we explore the fundamental principles of due process and equal protection in constitutional law. By delving into key amendments, legal standards, and landmark cases, we gain a deeper understanding of how these concepts protect individual rights and promote fairness within the legal system. In this chapter, we delved into the due process and equal protection clauses, examining key amendments, legal standards, and landmark cases. Understanding these concepts is vital for safeguarding individual rights and upholding fairness in the legal system. Thank you for your attention. Any questions? In wrapping up, it's crucial to remember that due process and equal protection are the cornerstones of our legal system. Let's continue to delve into how these principles influence our society. Thank you for your focus. Any questions?